What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode or video from Slav's Free Talk. I have something to talk about here. I've been hearing about a boycott that, a handful of people want to try and do for the Superman movie. And, here, I'm just going to pull it up here. I saw this, and I had to share and say, this is toxic AF. It really is. This is toxic. And I had people come at me and say, how is this toxic? How is boycotting a movie, how is not going to see something you don't want to see toxic? I even had somebody sit here on the comments and say, that's capitalism, not toxic at all. Well, it's not simply the boycott that I am saying is toxic, okay? And I want to kind of elaborate more on what's going on here, because I honestly think people don't understand, especially those that are sitting here saying, wallets closed, or let's boycott this movie, or fire James Gunn, or boycott Warner Brothers Discovery and stuff like that. I don't think they quite understand the hypocrisy that's going on here, as well as the toxicity that they're spewing. They think that they're doing this for some altruistic vision and altruistic idea or whatever it is. I don't know. I don't really fully grasp why they think they're doing this, and they think that they're doing it in the name of Zack Snyder or in the name of artistic integrity, when they're actually doing the complete opposite. Now, my buddy, and yours most likely, Real Anarchy, pointed something out that was really interesting. And I want you to listen to this here.
I hate Fandango, we hate the dog.
Yeah.
This is just what this film needs, is a little more negativity.
We're getting canceled.
See, that right there, it tells me that they are fully aware of all the vitriol, all the nonsense that you hear online. The only time that I saw anything like this was when Zack Snyder was directing Man of Steel and then BVS.
He's pointing out that there is a lot of negativity that is going on around this movie, Superman. The cast, the crew, everybody hears it and sees it. There's a lot of negativity around it. And it's ridiculous. It's absurd. It's unneeded. Now, I know there's going to be some of you who watch this video and they're going to come at me and say, well, you deserve it for what happened during Batman vs. Superman and Man of Steel. Well, first off, guys, before you come at me, I'm a fan of Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman. I was on the front lines supporting those movies. And yes, I understand that there were times when people would come at us fans of those movies and sit there and say, well, this movie sucks because sad Batman, or Batman doesn't kill, or mopey Superman, or whatever it was that they came at us for. I get it. It was upsetting. It was, they're movies that we like. But that doesn't mean that you, as a fan, should turn around and start saying and throwing the same shit at somebody else's art. It wasn't James Gunn who was making those remarks, who was saying that BVS was bad because of XYZ, who was saying Man of Steel was bad because XYZ. But you are all sitting here saying we're going to boycott this because of what other people and how other people said bad things about movies that you liked. That's one instance. Makes no sense. Now, we get back to this whole boycott thing. I saw this on TikTok. This is where I saw this. I snapshot, I threw it up on here. I thought this was ridiculous. But on here, it specifically says, no money for the DCU on July 11th, which I think is funny because the movie's going to be out for longer than July 11th. So, hey, go see it on July 12th, 13th, 14th, whatever. Just don't go on July 11th. But honestly, it says, Warner Brothers and James Gunn disrespect the characters and the fans. That's what it says here. What do you mean Warner Brothers and James Gunn disrespect the characters? First off, we're going to start with that there. Where's the disrespect? Yes, James Gunn does take a different approach with the characters. He does from time to time. Not always, but from time to time he does. From what we've seen thus far on a teaser, on a special behind the looks, like extended scene, with TV spots and stuff like that. I haven't seen anything that shows he's disrespected Superman, that he's disrespected Krypto, that he's disrespected any of the characters that we've seen. So we've got that so far. Disrespecting the fans? Where's this disrespect to the fans? I'm a fan. I don't feel disrespected. I talk to many fans who are excited and don't feel disrespected. I get it. There's some of you out there who may feel disrespected, who may feel like I don't like this. I don't want this. That's fine. We saw it 10, 15, not even 15 years ago, 10 years ago. There were some people who didn't want Batman vs. Superman. That wasn't for them. But you know what? Sure, they made some comments, offhanded comments. You live and you learn. You battled through. I battled through. We all got through it, whatever. But they made some offhanded comments. It wasn't for them. It was a movie. There was movies that they did not like. Okay? Maybe this movie will be for them. Maybe it won't be. But you had your movies that you enjoyed. If this movie isn't for you, if this isn't for them, then you wait for the next one that could be. It's similar to comics. Like, you can go read a run of Superman that you really enjoy. You can then go read a run of Superman that you don't enjoy. There's some people who love Kingdom Come. I love it. I've talked to some people who don't really enjoy that comic, that graphic novel, or whatever you want to call it. Some people love The Dark Knight Returns. Some people don't. It's the same idea, the same concept. When you have an artist, when you have a storyteller taking on these characters, they will write them in a different way. They will put their own mark on these characters. Sometimes it'll change. Sometimes they will keep the core aspect of the characters, but some things will change slightly, some drastically, some not as much. But things will change. But to sit there and boycott because an artist is getting a chance to create art, well, this is where my comment comes in that says this is the most toxic shit I've seen. Because the fight for the Snyder Cut was for artistic integrity. Artistic integrity to allow an artist to fulfill his artistic vision. James Gunn was hired to do a job. James Gunn is hired to make a Superman movie. He was given the reins to showcase his art, showcase a Superman story. I'm not going to say all of you, because it may not be all of them. But many of the people who are sitting there, wallets closed, boycott Warner Brothers Discovery, boycott Superman, many of them are the same ones who hashtagged artistic integrity, release the Snyder Cut, and all of that. And that's why this is toxic. That is why it's toxic. I couldn't care less if you went and saw this movie or not. Now, don't get me wrong, I know you're all going to, whether it's on Max, whether it's in the theater, we know it's going to be in the theater, whether it's at your friend's, Uncle Jim's, aunt's, uncle's house, whatever it is, you're all going to see this movie at some point because you're not going to be able to help yourself. You all are going to see this movie. You have to see this movie. You have to. Whether it's to hate watch it or you need to watch it because you just love Superman that much, you're going to see this movie. I know it. You know it. We all know it. So I'm not worried about that. And again, I couldn't care less if you go see it. I couldn't care less if you say, wallets closed, I'm not seeing this movie. I don't care. But the toxic part comes from the hypocrisy. The toxic part comes from claiming that they're disrespecting characters when they're not. The toxic part comes when they say they disrespect the fans. Well, where is the disrespect to the fans coming from? Because they're not giving you the Snyderverse? Because they're not continuing a universe that was put to bed, that was shelved back in 2017 by a completely different regime 2 regimes ago, well, that's absurd. That's completely absurd. This has nothing to do with David Zaslav. It has nothing to do with James Gunn or Peter Safran. It's not on them. It's not on them to fix the problems from a regime 2 regimes ago. It's on them to make the best out of what they have. And that's what they're doing. That's their goal. I saw a ridiculous post today. I should have pulled it up. I should have saved it and pulled it up. About a sandwich shop. Where somebody was like, oh, you have a sandwich shop and you make the best sandwich ever and you're making money. And then, you're going there, you're eating the sandwich and you love it. And then you go back one day and the sandwich is just gone. They threw it away and are making half-ass sandwiches that aren't good. They don't taste good at all. And they just taste like crap and you don't like it. And then for one day, they bring that sandwich back and it makes the most money ever. It does the best it's ever done before. But it was just that one time. And then they go back to making the crap sandwiches again. And they're trying to insinuate that that's what the Snyderverse was. That was the best sandwich ever. Then they got rid of it and then they brought it back with the Snyder Cut. And then they got rid of it again. But what they refuse to recognize, what they refuse to acknowledge, is all the intricacies, all the little bits and pieces within that. How Zack Snyder has stated, who would have been the sandwich maker in that little scenario, has moved on. He said he moved on. He closed the door of that chapter of his life. He's moved on. And then how all the ingredients, the actors, there's some liabilities there with a few of the actors. And how the owners of the shop from before are no longer there. Not only the owners from the original sandwich, but then when they brought it back, those owners are gone. This is a completely different ownership. They refuse to acknowledge the reality, the truth, the facts of the matter. So there's no disrespecting the fans. It's your misplaced judgment on everything. It's your perceived notion that for some reason you think that Warner Brothers Discovery is out to get you. You think Warner Brothers is out to get you. Oh man, they're out to get us. They hate us fans. They want nothing more than to just hate on us. Which makes 0 sense. 0 sense. They're a company that needs to make money. And if it was anything, if they needed to make money, they would do it. Well, that's the thing I don't get. Like, why do you think they wouldn't go down a road that would be guaranteed money like you all think it is? If it's guaranteed money, they would explore that option. If it was that they hated Zack Snyder, well, they would not have him and allow him on Warner Brothers' lot. They wouldn't possibly be talking to him about doing a 300 television series. If they truly hated him as much as you all say he does, or they say they do. Again, you just keep moving this goalpost and saying these things that make no sense. And that's where the toxicity comes from. There's no foundation on any of this, except for most of you people who push this are just upset that a universe was canceled back in 2017. It sucks. It happens in comics. It happens in movies. It happens in television. It happens all the time. This is no different. This is no different than that. But for some odd reason, you guys can't get in your little brains that it's the same as those. You think this is something bigger, much larger than those things ever have been. When in fact, you guys got a lot more than any of those other things ever got. Because you got the director's cut. You got his true cut of the Snyder Cut. We got it. Nothing else was ever promised. So to sit here and do this boycott, to say, well, this isn't toxic. No, just saying you're not going to go watch a movie, saying I don't want to go see it because it's not for me, that's not toxic. But to sit there and say I'm boycotting this movie, we all should boycott this movie because of these stupid reasons, that is toxic. 100%. I rambled on enough. Let me know your thoughts, though, in the comments. I'd love to hear what you have to say. I know I'm going to get some pushback from this, but that's all right. That's all right. I just didn't want people to, come on. Come on. Let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Hit that like button. Hit subscribe if you so choose. With all that said, I'll catch you all later.